Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this Spellbinders card making project. In this episode we're going to make a really pretty card using the Sunflower set from the Cool Vibes collection from Spellbinders, designed by Stephanie Lowe. In the set you get 3 stamps and 3 matching dies. You can use the stamps with the dies or without the dies, so you're getting 2 ways to use the stamps in the set. You get 2 florals and 1 sentiment stamp, and the sentiment stamp says Radiate Positive Vibes. Now I've been asked why I read them out to you. For the simple reason, and this is not trying to, I don't know what the word is, I read them out because some people are hard of sight. And they find it difficult to read the wordings when they're watching. So some people just listen rather than watch. So I read it out so that they know that there's a large sunflower stamp, there's a smaller floral stamp, there's a sentiment stamp, and the sentiment stamp says this. So that for anybody who's hard of sight, then, you know, they get a good idea of what I'm talking about. So that's why I just wanted to sort of clear that one up. You also get 3 dies. Now the dies coordinate fully with the stamp. So there's a large die that coordinates with the large sunflower. There's the smaller floral that's like a mandala floral rather than a solid floral that you can tell what the flower is. I.e. you can't, it's not a rose, it's more of a mandala flower, if that makes sense. A pattern flower. And then the 3rd die is the coordinating die for the sentiment. So that's the set that we're going to be using. Everything I do use I shall put on my blog in a detailed description. And for extra details you can always click on the Spellbinders link to take you through to their site for more information. And then if you wish to purchase, you can go ahead and purchase. They do ship internationally. So the base card that we're going to be using is a 6x6 card. I am going to show you it on my cardometer and you will see it's not a true 6x6. So this is my bugbear, because manufacturers tend to create 6x6 inch cards, but it's actually the envelopes that are 6x6 inches and the cards are just a little bit smaller. So you can see where it sits on my cardometer. It's not the 8x8, it's not the 7x7, it's the next size down. So it's a good size, nice square card. This would work if you don't have any square cards. It would still work with a 7x5, or you could use a 6x4 and use the smaller stamps. So I'm just using my bone folder to create a nice sharp edge. A little bit of glue on there, so I'll take that away. And I'm just running the bone folder along the edge of the card to make sure it's got the nice professional edge when it stands on a mantelpiece. So the first thing we're going to do is the inside of our card. Now you can see that I've got, because like you, I can sometimes be a messy crafter. So I've got a few spots of black ink that have managed to find their way on the front of my card. I'm not fussed about that because that's going to be covered anyway. Nobody will see that. So for anyone who thinks, oh, I'm going to have to throw that card away, don't, because you can cover it over. It's not, you know, it's not a big blooper. Nobody will see that. So the first thing we're going to do is turn our attention to the inside of the card. Now I'm going to keep referring back to the stamps because they're obviously beautiful stamps and I want to show you how, you know, I've got to this stage. So this is the insert for our card. I've gone ahead and stamped it and I've used the large sunflower stamp. I've gone round the edge with the sunflower stamp 3 times using black ink, and I've stamped off the edge so that you don't get the full sunflower pattern. You're just getting the tips of the leaves and the petals on 2 of the stamps, and then the 3rd stamp, it's just a tiny section of it in the corner. Then 3 times I've stamped the sunflower again. Instead of using black stazon ink, I've used Dove Grey stazon ink so that it's a lighter image. And then I've coloured in, and I've used watercolour pencils. Now believe me, my watercolour pencils are really old, and they were really cheap ones that my husband bought me probably 15 years ago from a large department store in the UK. They still work brilliantly, but they were as cheap as chips, as they say. I've only thrown the colour on and thrown water on it to make it blend, and I know I'm going to say it looks quite good. I don't like blowing my own trumpet, but it does look as though I've spent a long time on colouring it, and believe me, I haven't. So if you've got some watercolour pencils, just try them. And if you think, oh, I'm no artist, Anne-Marie, I can't do that, just colour in the leaves with the pencil lightly, add some watercolour, and just look at the effect that you get. And colour in a leaf in 2 colours, a dark green, a light green, sweep water across it, you'll get some shading. Try it on scrap paper before you do it in your card. Have a little practice, and it will just relax you so much anyway with water pencil colouring. So that's how I've got the flower stamps on the centre of the insert. Then I've die cut, which it looks really odd, but this is the sentiment die cut, and this is how it looks when it's been die cut out of card. So I'm using the negative side of the die cut rather than the positive for this section. Now the thing I haven't pointed out is I've taken a black ink pad all the way around the edge. I masked it off with craft mask tape, and then literally used a blender to take that black all the way around. I then did use the Tim Holtz Distress Glaze over the top of the black to stop it smudging when I stamped, and as I was having my messy hands all over it, because I know that I can get quite messy, and I would then transfer that ink over something else, and then I'd have to start again. So I used the glaze just over the top to protect it a little bit, and me, really. So that's the basis of our insert, how I've stamped it and how I've got that touch of colour on it. Trust me when I say you will enjoy using watercolour pencils, especially if you think you're not an artist. Now I'm just going to check that I've got the it the right way round for the die cut, and I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this into the inside of our card, like that, through the centre. Now, the effect that that has given already looks fabulous. So the centre of where I've die cut the sentiment away, I've got the sentiment that I've stamped and die cut. I've taken it through my Xyron machine, and just because you've stamped something and you take it through the Xyron will not affect the stamp at all. It will not affect that stamped image that you've made. It's only adding adhesive on the back. So I've already gone around the edge and broken the adhesive seal. I've tinted the very edge with worn lipstick, and then I can slot the sentiment into the aperture that is ready for it, like that. And that makes it stand out really well, but yet it's still flush on the inside of our card. And that's the one thing that you will see repeated through the next few projects, because I really do like this effect of using the negative with the positive die cut and mixing them together. So that's the inside of our card finished. There's lots of room for you to write your message, to, from, etc. Don't worry about writing over the faint grey stamp. That's why we've done it in the fainter colour, because we've got the colour from the 3 sunflowers in the corners. So now we can go to the front of our card, and I'm just going to use my bone folder again to make sure we've still got that nice crease along the edge. So our base of the front of the card is going to be a black layer. Now you can see I've taken the centre out of it because I wanted to be economical with this and use the centre for something else for the card. So I've simply die cut it to fit the card in a square. I've got flat tape on the back of it, and then I'm going to simply add that layer to the front of the card like so, and that's our first layer. Next, now this is where I've used the sunflower stamp again. So we've got the large stamp, and I've stamped it 4 times on the front of the card, and they're all off the edge of the layer so that it doesn't make them look too symmetrical, and I just wanted them to look random. So I think that's the kind of look I was going for. I've used the colour pencils again to colour them in. Little sweep of colour. You can use whatever colour you want to use on them. I've got flat tape on the back. Now this is just normal white cardstock. Sometimes I use the watercolour card, but this is just normal watercolour, normal white card. And because it curls a little bit when you've had a lot of water on it and it's been wet. So I've got extra tape on the back of it. Don't worry about the section that you've cut out of this layer where you're saving this centre bit, because this layer will cover it over and you will never tell that there's anything missing. So that's our sunflower layer. Next, from the centre, I've saved a little square, and I've die cut it a little bit smaller, and I've got this on 3D foam, so I'm just going to simply add that to the front of our card. And then to finish our card off, I've got the same sentiment as we had for the inside, radiate positive vibes. I've stamped it, and then I've die cut it, and I've got 3D foam on the back of it. And I wanted to show you that it's wide enough for 3D foam. Even though it looks kind of delicate, there is room to use foam on the back. I'm going to position this over the black square, and that is our card finished. Now, I've got to say I've had such fun colouring in the sunflowers, and I think it's just such a fun card. The colours are so pretty. The inside matches perfectly to the outside, and to get so much use out of one set of stamps and dies to make such a beautiful card, I think is just so good. No wonder they're called Cool Vibes, because they are positive, they are vibrant, and they would put a smile on anybody's face. The card stands up nicely. It will go in a normal envelope. It's not too high. We've got 2 layers of decoupage just on that sentiment. You wouldn't have to make it so high if you wanted to make it a little bit less for putting in the envelope. The black and the colour just stands out so well, and I'm quite impressed actually, I must admit. It really is a pretty set and very versatile. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching. Everything I use I shall put on my blog. If you've got any questions, ask me on my blog or Facebook, because I can't reply on YouTube. I do read your comments on YouTube, but I can't reply to you, so please keep your questions to Facebook or my blog. So thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.